Hello and welcome to A Date with Denial. If you are new here, I really hope you consider hitting that subscribe button and liking because we get crazy on here. We get sent to H jail. If you don't know what H jail is, you're too young. If you still don't know what it is and you're old enough, use 2 and 2. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, and I hope you hit the like button and, give me some ideas of some other stuff you want me to play. I don't just play visual novels. If you guys take a look on my channel, I also play multiple games. Like, I play a variety of games. So anything you ask me to play, I absolutely will play it. So trust and believe. Yeah, I have no idea what kind of game this is. Don't know what I'm getting into. Little worried. Because as I was reading some of the stuff on their page on each.io, they were kind of saying be careful and stuff. So, and they had a little warning thing. I hope they give you the warning here. Absolutely, they do. This game contains depictions of blood and corpse, as well as characters that manipulate the player. Viewer discretion is advised. You see, I take the parts that I remember and stitch them back together to make the creature that will do what I say or love me back. Richard Sulkin. I don't know who that is, but okay. My first mind went to Frankenstein, but maybe not. I don't know. And also, I hear you guys talking about, I can hear you gulping and stuff. I promise you, I'm trying to work out the mic situation. I think I turned it down enough. If you guys still kind of hear, I guess saliva is what some people said they were hearing in my mouth, which is weird. Like, I watched the video, I didn't hear what you hear, but I think you guys were just over exaggerating just to be funny. And I found it funny. I wasn't like, oh, I'm offended. But yeah, if my mic is still too loud, just let me know. I could smell 2 distinct smells. Delicious, savory smell of food and a familiar scent of candles burning. I sat up straight and opened my eyes. Dun dun dun. What is this? I can't tell who he is, but my visual novel instincts are kicking in, and I'm gonna say he's gonna be a cutie pie. Are you all right, my darling muse? My eyes adjust to the darkness. I knew it. Look how cute he is. Look at his freaking hair. Look at his outfit. Honestly, is this a woman? It's just the chest. Look at the chest and tell me that's not a woman. You appeared rather bewildered. Was the wine a tad too strong? Who are you? In the dim candlelight, I could see that the man's expression shifted at the question. There was a brief look of offense and sorrow, but he gave me a warm smile. Why, I am Zecharias, of course. We have blah, 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 blah. I don't know what I was reading. We have known each other for quite a while, my muse. In fact, we were in the middle of a dinner date before you appeared a little disoriented. Zecharias, the name did ring a bell, but as far as I know, I don't remember going on a date with someone by that name. Surely you have not forgotten. So, I just had a thought. What if the wine is drugged? It did say in the beginning that there's a character that's manipulating us. This is the only character we've met so far. I'm just saying. To ensure that you were all right, do you still remember your name at least? Of course. It is Voyia. Nice to meet you. And my pronouns are she and her. That is quite a relief. Do you seem you still blah 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 blah. Oh my God, I keep messing up. Forgive me. You do seem to be less muddled right now. Perhaps we can continue with the lovely dinner date? Um, uh, Look at the food on your side of the table. Before me, on a large white plate, was my favorite food. Warm steam wafted upwards from it. It seemed that it was freshly prepared. The smell was delicious. I could feel my stomach rumbling slightly. Beside my plate was a glass of wine, full and untouched. Let's look at the items on the table. The table contained 2 large plates, one before me and the other before Zecharias, as well as unusual company cutlery. Jesus, I bit my tongue saying that. There was a bottle of wine. It was labels difficult to read in the flickering candlelight, and the wine glass beside my plate. Zacharias' wine was in his hand. I have made sure that your absolute favorite food has been prepared for you. Please, my muse, partake in the meal. Look at the clothes you're wearing. Knowing me, if I wake up and I feel confused, bewildered, kerfuffled, whatever word you want to use at this time, if I feel just a little off, I'm gonna be asking questions. So this is just me. This is just me in my natural state of what I would actually do. Just like, how did I end up here? Who are you? I think I'm gonna go home now. Goodbye. I don't care how cute you are. I looked down at the clothes I'm wearing. I don't remember owning such expensive looking formal wear. It was comfortable, however, fitting my form perfectly. I noted that the clothing was the same shade of white and yellow as Zacharias' suit, as far as I could tell in the dim candlelight. There was a fresh flower pinned on the breast of my clothing. Is something the matter? You're not touching your food, excuse me. There's no stain on your suit, my muse. It is completely spotless and gorgeous, a fitting garment for someone as mesmerizing as you. Look at Zacharias' side of the table. I gazed over to the opposite side of the table where Zacharias sat. His plate, unlike mine, was empty. The glass in his hand was half full. Now and then, he'd take a quick flick of the wrist to swirl the content in the glass. Take a closer look at the wine glass. I stared at the wine glass in his hand. The liquid seemed a little more viscous, than the wine. I had a cough that was like stuck in my throat, like it was there and it wasn't coming up. So forgive me. Choked on my spit. Maybe you guys are right. You guys can hear me. Hear the saliva in my mouth. Viscous in the wine in my glass, and had a darker hue to it. Zacharias noticed that I was staring. He gave his wrist another flick to swirl the content in the glass. The liquid seemed to thin out as he did. What does my glass look like? I mean, I guess the liquid in my glass seems a tad bit lighter than his. But I mean, it doesn't absolutely mean anything. Do partake in the wine as well, my muse. Or perhaps, if a strong drink is not in your dietary preference, I can request for the preparations of other drinks to your liking. Ask him why his plate is empty. Has your food been served yet? Your plate is empty. I have already finished my meal. I apologize, as it seemed rather rude for me not to consume my portion alongside you. But I beseech you to not rush with your meal. Take your time with it, my muse. Why does he keep calling me his muse? That's throwing me off a little bit. I would be delighted to simply keep you company. His plate is completely clean. You have nothing in your plate, sir. Now then, shall I obtain another drink that would be more suited to your taste, my muse? My muse. Ask him why he keeps calling you that. Yeah, why does he keep calling me his muse? That's so weird. I really appreciate you getting me another drink, but Why do you keep calling me your muse? Zacharias' eyes widened slightly. You have no recollection of it? I shook my head. He took in a deep breath and sighed, looking a little sorrowful. I am sorry, my muse. Why? Why are you sorry? However, excuse me. Instead of answering me, he perked up and suddenly gave me a grin. I noticed sharp teeth poking out between his teeth. Oh, sweet Jesus, he's a vampire. No way he's not, or a werewolf. He could be a werewolf. He's either a vampire or a werewolf. He's not of this world. Do not fret. I will happily remind you of such a lovely occasion again. You see, I am an artist, desperately searching for my muse for my crafts. We met and you agreed to become the inspiration for my painting and sculptures. Shift your focus upon that canvas. He placed his glass down and snapped his fingers. That was not there at first. No way. That was not there. I suddenly noticed the canvas small distance behind him and didn't see before. It was dark there a second ago. Seemed like the light from the ceiling suddenly turned on just to reveal the canvas to me. Upon the canvas was a painting of me, beautiful and shockingly lifelike. I've been painting you before we begin to feel rather peckish. I proposed to dine together with you, and you were delighted to accept. And I have no recollection of this. That's the problem that's bothering me. It's like I don't have just the slightest, like a tad bit, like hint, like this all happened. That's this might be a horror game. It said blood in here. I think it did mention that there was blood in here. He picked up his glass again as he spoke, swirling the liquid within the glass. I suppose one could say that this is our first date. And I am honored, elated to dine with the muse I messed up. To dine with the muse of such charm and beauty as yourself. If you came here for perfection, my golly, you're on the wrong channel. I don't remember any of that. But the deep, mellifluent voice is so soothing, so convincing, that I could not help accepting everything he said. I nodded, not knowing what else to say. Now then, shall I procure a more suitable drink for you, dearest muse? What would you prefer? Perhaps a fragrant tea? You know, tea sounds nice. I'm going to probably drink some tea after this anyway. Having a little anxiety this morning. It kind of went away, but I can feel it slowly creeping back in a weird way. And that's probably why I keep choking up a little bit. Because sometimes like I'll feel like an itch in my throat, which comes with my anxiety, which I don't understand what that is all about, but whatever. But yeah, I'm just assuming that because of that, I'm having a tad bit anxiety coming back. I don't feel it, but that itch in my throat is what's causing me to think like, uh-oh, it's coming back. And I felt all right for like an hour, and now I feel weird again. Of course, I shall return swiftly. Do enjoy your meal in the meantime. He stood up and pushing back his chair noisily and strode off somewhere behind me, taking his wine glass with him. His movements were unnaturally graceful, like that of a dancer? Let's look around. After he left, I finally began to take note of my surroundings. With him at the table, and especially when he spoke to me, it felt like I had tunnel vision, only able to look and listen to him. I think he's a vampire. See, I was saying a werewolf, but I feel like the fact that like the game is indicating that he has some type of hypnosis type of thing, like some kind of mesmerizing type of thing going on right now. I do believe that he is a vampire because of that. The rest of the world around me seemed to have melted away, but now that he is gone, I could finally bring myself to look around. I seemed to be in a large, rather dark hall. I was startled and amazed. His muse is is leaking onto me, and now I'm saying muse. Amazed to see the two of the walls was a glass wall separating the hall from a massive body of water. The ceiling was also made of glass. I could just see what seemed to be the surface of the water through it. It looked like a large aquarium I used to visit as a child, but the water seemed to go on forever. It felt like I was in the middle of the ocean. There were tables similar to ours scattered throughout the hall. It appeared to be some sort of fancy restaurant. The only light in the hall came from the glass walls, as well as the candles on our tables and all the tables around ours. The light beyond the glass walls cast a blue, sickly-looking light on everything. Stand up and look around. I stood up, slowly moving towards one of the glass walls. As I passed by one of the tables, I noticed that it was empty, even though the candles were lit and the table was set. All of the tables were empty. I was the only one in the hall. I turned my attention to the water on the other side of the glass wall. The water was a greenish blue. It faded away into the darkness in the distance. There seemed to be a dim light coming from the surface of the water, shining down through the ceiling. You seemed to be lotus flowers floating on the surface of the water. There were no leaves or stalks, just flowers. How did you know I like lotus flowers? There were no fish of any sort in the aquarium. I could hear a distant noise, a soft, continuous noise. It came from the water beyond the glass. I went closer to the glass walls and listened closely. It was unmistakably the sound of a distant voice singing. The voice was far too distant for me to make out any words. All I could tell was that it was a deep voice. And it was absolutely beautiful voice. I found myself standing completely still, one hand pressed on the cold glass wall, only wanting to listen to the voice. If I could, I wanted to break the glass wall and be closer to the voice. Don't do that, honey. So I could hear what it was singing. But I was aware of how foolish that would be. Keep listening to the singing? I wanted to pull myself away from the glass wall, to get away from the singing. But I found that I could not. It was as if my feet were rooted to the floor and my hand was stuck fast to the glass wall. I could only listen and listen. I began to forget why I was standing here. My eyelids began to grow heavy. Oh, did we pass out? That'd be kind of sucky if we did. I felt my head nodding forward. Suddenly, the singing grew louder and much clearer. I opened my eyes and raised my head. I became aware that the voice was no longer coming from beyond the glass wall, but was now approaching from behind me. My muse. The singing stopped. I could hear Zecharias' voice speak to me. I kept skipping voice, sorry. I turned around to see Zecharias standing behind me. In his hand was an ornate cup of tea. Were you perhaps searching for me? I'm dreadfully sorry for taking too long. He smiled, politely gesturing back towards our table. Come, dine with me. We are about to have a lovely time together. He moved over to his seat, humming cheerfully as he did. Upon hearing him humming, I found myself walking back to the table. I was even aware I was doing it. I simply walked back without thinking. I sat down, absent-mindedly gazing at him. He settled down in his seat and took a sip of his wine glass. It seemed to have reappeared in his hand. Don't recall seeing him bring it back to the hall when he returned with his drink. Very interesting. Appearing canvas. Appearing glass of wine. Him gracefully moving around, dancing around the scene. I say we got a vampire. After you have eaten your fill, we shall continue with the painting. And after that, if you are not too tired, perhaps you can listen to my singing. I wish to compose a song inspired by you, my lovely muse. So perhaps you can help me. Yeah, that sounds nice. Zecharias? Yes, love. Can I ask you some questions? Uh-oh. You see that look on his face? That means ask me something too drastic and I'm gonna snap your neck. Like, see, absolutely not. You don't make hot, cute boys. From my experience, you don't make hot, cute boys in visual novels angry. That's just a no-no. If it would please you, then of course, my dear muse. These clothes, there's something strange about them. What is unusual about your attire, my muse? I remember carrying a backpack before this. So maybe there's another ending we can get, but I don't think they've mentioned a backpack, so I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to go with the top one. Same color as yours. I picked out the clothing to match mine. It felt appropriate for a dinner date after all. You guys can comment down below. Maybe I'm the weird one, but if you went on a first date and your first date asked you to wear matching clothes with them, like, hey, I'm going to be wearing, I'm trying to get guy colors with girl color, because some guys don't be like, oh, pink is gross. Yeah. But if you're one of those guys that like pink, if your girl's like, hey, I'm going to be wearing pink and white, I want you to wear pink and white as well. Would you match with her on the first date? Like y'all just meeting first date? I don't think I would. Because I think that's more couple like stuff, not first date stuff. But okay. That seems to make sense. You mentioned, excuse me, wrong person. You mentioned that I was disoriented before this. What happened? You simply fell unconscious. I was quite concerned, but unsure what to do. I'm relieved that you awoke after that. How did it happen? I believe it could be the strength of the wine. That is why I suggested to offer you a different drink with less body. I don't drink at all. The wine does look like it hasn't been touched. My wine hasn't been touched at all. Perhaps I was mistaken about the wine then. Please continue to partake in your meal. It is best to consume it while it's still warm. What is in your wine glass? It looks a bit different from the type of my glass. He gave me a side glance, swirling the drink in the glass again. It is similar, but no. It is a different type of wine, with an additional suited to my palate. I do not believe you will enjoy it. You mentioned you finished your food before me. What did you eat? Meat. A dish of meat variety. A steak. Okay. How did you finish so quickly? He gave me a small sheepish grin. Uh-oh, I clicked on something. I am a quick eater. I enjoyed the taste of meat and finished my dish before you started yours and before you fell unconscious. Well, let me tell you, I am a person that enjoy the taste of meat as well. Actual food meat nasties. Y'all be talking about y'all caught me in 4K, but I knew what y'all mind was on the moment I said that. Yeah. I caught y'all in 4K, not y'all caught me. Absolutely not. I apologize for not waiting for you to start your meal. Now please enjoy your meal, as I have enjoyed mine. Where are we right now? I've never seen this place before. We are in a lovely restaurant that I have booked prior to the dinner date. Why are there no other customers? I suppose there is a low number of clients today. It is quite an exclusive location after all. Is it now? I haven't seen any staff either. that is a thing too. How long have we known each other? I have mentioned we have known each other for a while now. However, this is the first time we are dining together. Again, I don't know about entering the abandoned building with other people. So I'm going to click this down here. You've only painted one portrait of me, so we couldn't have met. Okay. I believe that is quite enough questions. Perhaps it is time we had a different conversation, one less intrusive. But first, you must sleep. Sleep and forget. Sleep and let your fears vanish. He began humming, "Sleep, my muse." He sang to me, his voice growing gentle and smoothing. Sleep and forget. I felt my eyelids growing heavy despite myself. I could not keep my head lifted up. Forget, and we shall do this all again. I felt my head resting on the table. Let us have a lovely date. No suspicion or fear, my lovely muse. I could smell two distinct smells, the delicious savory smell of food and a familiar scent of candles burning. I sat up straight. I opened my eyes. Are you all right, my darling muse? Okay, ending 2, it looped. So there are 3 endings in here. I'm going to try to get absolutely all of them. But if I cannot get all of them, I do apologize, but I will let you know if I could. This is also a spin-off from another game. I'm not for sure what the other game is called, but if I find out what game it's a spin-off from, I will put it in the description box below, as well as this game too, so you guys can access it too. Maybe you don't want to hear me read it. Maybe you want to read it yourself in your own little voices and stuff. That's okay. I'm okay with that. That's why I always share where I got the game from, so you can do your own thing. Or maybe you want to play it for yourself and you're just trying to get an idea of what the game is and you just ran across me. I know sometimes I'll watch half of someone's video and be like, oh, I want to play this game. Turn it off and then go download it, play it, then go back and watch the video, just because I'm like, I don't want to ruin it for myself. But enough of me ranting on. Let me go get the other endings. So at this point, I'm just going to just listen to everything he says, because instead of like having suspicion and stuff, and then we'll find the next ending, because I'm assuming that was probably ending 1. It's just listening to him, I guess. Take a bite of the food. Before me, on a large white plate, there was my favorite food. Warm steam wafted upwards towards me. The smell was delicious. I could feel my stomach rumbling slightly. I picked up the fork and took a bite of my meal. It tastes incredible. Exactly the way I liked it prepared. Eat a bit more. Zecharias smiled as he watched me eat. It was a warm, loving smile, but it twisted a little more than it should, showing off his surprisingly sharp teeth. Ooh. I do hope you savor each bite. Do partake in the wine as well, my muse. Or perhaps, if it's too strong of a drink, oh my god, reread the whole thing, Voyia. Or perhaps, if a strong drink is not to your dietary preference, I can request for your preparations of other drinks of your liking. Jesus, I could not accept the drink. I would like another type of drink if it's okay. Of course, anything to make you happy, dearest muse. What would you prefer? Perhaps a fragrant tea? So he chose tea. I'm going to choose fruit juice. Ah, of course. I shall return swiftly. Do enjoy your meal in the meantime. He stood up, pushing back his chair noisily, and strode off behind me, taking his wine glass with him. His movements were unnaturally graceful, like that of a dancer. We're going to wait for him to return. I sat still, staring at the candles on the table. In the distance, I could hear a faint, continuous noise. I listened closely and realized it was the unmistakable sound of distant singing. It was a luring, deep voice, too distant for to hear the exact words, but still sounding almost ethereal. I listened to it slightly, finding my eyelids to growing a little heavy as I did. It was such a beautiful song. Suddenly the singing grew louder and much clearer. I opened my eyes and raised my head. I became aware that the voice was no longer coming from beyond the glass wall, but now approaching from behind me. Okay, so us kind of obeying him made it where we hear the singing, but we didn't like follow the singing. And I'm gonna assume it's him because it said that's how he put us to sleep. And every time we hear the singing, we fall asleep. So I'm assuming it's him singing. Excuse me. I had to burp and I don't want to burp in you guys' ear. My muse. The singing stopped and I could hear Zecharias' familiar voice speak to me. I turned around and see Zecharias standing behind me, and in his hand was an ordinary glass of fruit juice. I was going to say orange juice. Jesus, maybe I just want orange juice. We were prepared. Were you perhaps searching for me? I'm dreadfully sorry for taking so long. He smiled, politely gesturing back towards our table. So it still made it as if I stood up, I guess. In a sense, I'm not for sure about that one. Come, dine with me. We are about to have a lovely time together. He moved over to his seat, humming cheerfully as he did. Upon hearing his humming, I found myself walking back to the table. I wasn't even aware I was doing it. I simply walked back without thinking. I sat down, absentmindedly gazing at him. Okay, so we already kind of read all of this. I don't want to really like go through all of it, but I don't want to just be like skip, and then miss something. He settled down in his seat, and I took a sip of his wine glass. It seemed to reappear in his hand. I don't recall him bringing it back to the hall when he returned with my drink. After you have eaten your fill, we shall continue with the painting. And after that, if you are not too tired, perhaps we can listen to me singing. Okay, so this is him telling us he's going to sing. Yeah, that sounds nice. I smiled back at him for the first time. He seemed to overjoyed to see me smile. His golden eyes lit up and his toothy grin widened. Will you stay with me, my muse? I feel myself nodding. Any fear and desire to remember why I was here, how I met Zecharias, and why I was unconscious at the table faded away. I was happy to simply continue this eternal dinner date with him. No. See, that doesn't even sound like something I would do. Ending 1, denial. Okay. So we got 2 endings. There's a third ending. I think I know how to get it. I'm not for sure. I'm just going to try some stuff out. And hopefully, maybe, I guess, I can get it. Okay. So this is the part that I was at. I think we have to make him mad in a sense. Like, I don't know how to make him mad, but sometimes games are like, oh, if you make a person mad enough, and hopefully he doesn't put me to sleep, we could potentially get him like angry enough to something else happens. Move away from the singing and look at the canvas, because I don't think we did this. After some effort, I managed to move away from the glass wall. I turned to where the canvas stood. The light that once shone down on has been turned off, but I could still see the portrait in the faint blue glow. Zacharias was really good at painting. I stood before the canvas, admiring the painting, but also thinking, trying to remember. I did recall agreeing to letting him use me as inspiration for his art, but how did I meet him? I struggled to think. In the back of my mind, hazy and distant, I began to remember empty corridors, empty rooms, empty halls. Miles upon miles of bizarre empty buildings filled with mismatching rooms, corridors, and stairs. Seeing him in one such empty location, accepting his invitation, and then... But what came before that? How did I enter such a place? I closed my eyes, trying hard to think. The singing, while faint in distance, was making it difficult to hold on to the thoughts. 4. There were 4 people, 4 of us. I could not remember the faces of the other 3. There were but hazy shadows in my mind, but I remember backpacks, sleeping bags, candles, bottles of water. Entering an old building, suddenly the singing grew louder and much clearer. I opened my eyes and raised my head. I became aware of the voice that was no longer coming from beyond the glass wall, but now approaching from behind me. Ah, my muse. The singing stopped and I could hear Zacharias' familiar voice speak to me. I turned around. Zacharias was standing behind me with an ordinary glass of water. I chose water, by the way, at this time. Were you perhaps searching for me? I am dreadfully sorry for taking so long. I smiled politely and gestured back towards our table. Come, dine with me. We are about to have a lovely time together. He moved over to his seat, humming cheerfully as he did. Upon hearing his humming, I found myself walking back to the table. I wasn't even aware I was doing it. I simply walked back without thinking. I sat down, absent-mindedly gazing at him. He settled down in his seat, and I took a sip from his wine glass. It seemed to have reappeared. I said I took a sip, but he took a sip from his wine glass. It appeared to be back in his hand. I keep saying I, too, at that part, too. That's twice now I did that. I did recall seeing him didn't recall seeing him bringing it back into the hall when he returned with my drink. After you have eaten your fill, we shall continue with the painting, and after that, if you're not too tired, perhaps you can listen to my singing. I wish to compose a song inspired by you, my lovely muse, so perhaps you could help me. Yeah, that sounds nice. Zacharias? Yes, love. Can I ask some questions? Just a couple. I just have a few questions. If it would please you, then of course, my dear muse. These clothes, something strange about them. Is it unusual? Okay, what is unusual about your attire? Okay, we're gonna say the backpack thing. I remember carrying a backpack before this. That was a while ago. You have changed your attire since then. But why was I carrying a backpack before this? I remember having a backpack with a sleeping bag and candles in it. Where are they? You mentioned that I was disoriented before this. What happened? You simply fell unconscious. I was quite concerned, but okay, so we already read this. How did it happen? I believe it could have been the strength of the wine. This is why I suggested to offer you a drink with less body. No. I'm trying to get like the angry face. Cause I don't know how full your wine glass is supposed to be. I don't drink wine, okay? I've seen people overfill it like on a ha-ha funny thing, but never like somebody properly pour a glass of wine. So I guess I could say my food still is steamed. Cause why is my food still hot? In a sense. Okay, so he didn't make the angry face there, so hopefully I get a couple of chances to do it. You were not unconscious for an extended amount of time, I suppose. What is in your wine glass? It looks a bit different from the type in my glass. Okay, he gave me a side glass, swirling his glass again. It's familiar, but it's for his palate. I do not believe you will enjoy it. You mentioned you finished your food before me. What did you eat? This is where he said he had a variety of meat. Your plate is completely clean. His expression disturbed me. See, this is the face I was looking for, because he did it before when in the first ending thing. So maybe if I get him to do it a few times, maybe then that will cause like him to get so mad and then something will happen. Maybe he'll eat me. Maybe I'll get a jump scare. I don't know. I'm thinking more he's gonna try to eat me. His expression disturbed me. I could see his left hand trembling slightly as he tightened his grip on his wine glass. This is quite enough questions. I believe we can continue this conversation after the meal. Where are we right now? I've never seen this place before. We are in a lovely restaurant and that I have booked prior to our dinner date. Excuse me. Why are we underwater? The restaurant is surrounded by an aquarium. I do enjoy being close to the ocean. This is why I desire for the restaurant to look like this. Which one of these was gonna make him mad? Why is the water so deep? Aquariums usually have fish in them. Okay, see, we got the face again. Fish. Oh yes, aquatic life form. I have quite forgotten. How do they look again? You don't know what fish look like? How old are you? Okay, sir. I'm a little confused about that one because I feel like even if he's a super old vampire, he should know what fish look like, right? That's a little tad bit weird. He seemed very thrown off by the question, glancing around frantically and muttering to himself. I suppose they removed the aquatic life from the tanks for a reason or another. Zecharias has completely lost his unusual calm composure. How long have we known each other? As I have mentioned, we have known each other for a while now. However, this is the first time we are dining together. So I think this is what I chose to make him angry the other time. Right? I did. Okay. But does this make him angry? Okay, so either one. Okay. So no, I entered an abandoned building with 3 other people that I met and you met there. Excuse me, and and met you there. Why can I not say that? All tongue-tied today. Oh, God. Hello? Did he just kill me? The loud noise of glass splintering made me jump. Me too. Oh, look at his hand. He crushed his wine glass. Oh boy. Zecharias had squeezed his wine glass so tightly that it had shattered in his palm. Oh my God. The strange vicious wine mixed with the dark red blood on his palm stained his white sleeve. Well, I think it's time for me to leave. I think it's time for me to get up out and go. He glared at me, unblinking. He did not speak. He did not move. He simply sat still, glaring as blood and wine flowed down his arm. Oh my God. I slowly got out of my seat. Still, he did not move, but his eyes never left me. I began to make my way towards the door of the hall, cautiously turning around again and again to see his reaction. Oh, that has got to be the scariest thing. He's just staring at you. He's not standing up. He's not coming after you or nothing. That's got to be scary because you never know how he's going to get you. Only his head moved to watch my movements. The rest of his body remained as still as the statue. I pushed open the door slowly. Oh my God, that scared me again. At that moment, I heard the chair scraping against the floor, followed by a horrible crash as he had thrown the chair at the table. I didn't look back. I just fled through the doors and down the corridor beyond. The corridor seemed to stretch on forever and twist and turns, and sometimes opening up to large empty halls, sometimes becoming so narrow that I had to squeeze myself through them. Oh, my darling muse, return to me, my love. Zacharias' voice floated down the corridor, half talking, half singing, sounding beautiful and alluring. We were having such a lovely time. I kept running until... Oh my goodness. Oh, well, no, she said it was 4 of us. So who's this 4th person that's gone? Because it should have been 3 here plus me. I'm 4, right? They were my friends. The flesh had been stripped from some parts of them, their limbs torn off, seemingly by sharp fangs. Yep, he's a vampire. My memories came flooding back. He could still actually just be a werewolf. Just a very graceful werewolf. My memories came flooding back to me in an instant. Ever since we met years ago, we had loved exploring old buildings and abandoned places. We would camp out in the buildings overnight sometimes too. So we'd bring candles and some food and sleeping bags in our backpacks. I recalled that one day we entered a condemned building, shunned by every other group of people who enjoyed exploring abandoned locations. It started like any other normal exploration until we noticed that the building seemed far larger than it looked on the outside. Miles upon miles of rooms and corridors, some empty, some sparsely decorated by old furniture, strange statues and frame paintings. We could not find our way out no matter how hard we tried. And then we met him, Zecharias, a strange man dressed in a spotless white suit in the middle of the endless abandoned building. He was singing to himself. I said sitting to himself, Jesus. He was singing to himself and standing in the middle of one of the empty rooms. And at that moment, all 4 of us seemed to forget why we were there and why we were trying to find our way out. He beckoned to us, and we followed him. He offered us food and drink that seemed to have appeared from nowhere. And then he said he wanted to pick one of us for an inspiration for his next art piece. My memories of what happened after that are hazy, but I recall being separated from 3 of my other friends, sitting in the armchair watching him paint the portrait of me, enjoying his lovely singing in between the interesting conversation with me. Seeing him leave the room and hearing distant screams, but never questioning what they were. That was your friends being mauled to death or eaten, whichever one, and you just never questioned it. Like, he's so handsome and he can sing. Oh my God, so amazing. And meanwhile, your friends are over here like, spare me, help me. As I paused and take in the horror and disgust, I felt 2 arms wrapping around my waist. See, you waited too long. Now you're stuck. I slumped backwards into his warm, tall body, losing all hope. Come on, my lovely muse. Let us continue our dinner date, shall we? Recaptured. I don't like that ending, but those were all 3 of the endings. Thank you guys so much. This game had me kind of creeped out from the beginning because I don't like being in the unknown in a sense. Like, the 2 scary things for me is 1, being chased, and 2, being in the unknown. And this game absolutely had both. So I was a tad bit out of my element, but it was a great game and I appreciated it. It was amazing. Thank you for creating this game. Again, I think this is a continuation of another game I don't remember what the game was called or whatever, but I might actually go check that game out as well. So thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and peace and love. Stay safe out there, everybody. Bye.